Have you ever had a moment where tiny lives were dependent on you entirely? And I'm not exactly talking about children, but I'm talking about an animal who cannot communicate or reciprocate anything back to you. A few months ago, I found myself in that exact situation when I discovered three abandoned kittens. They were small enough to fit in the palm of my hand. They were completely frightened and completely alone. And at first, I wasn't sure what to do. I had never rescued animals before, and the responsibility felt very overwhelming. But I had no idea that that decision would teach me one of the most impactful lessons of my life. My experience rescuing and finding homes for three abandoned kittens showed me that even small efforts to others can make a meaningful difference and expand on the meaning of humanity. And so, to begin this story, it first started with a mama cat coming in to our backyard where we were feeding her. And at first, we didn't understand that she was a mother. She was just very hungry, very thin, very malnourished, and so we kept feeding her. Eventually, after some time, she brought her kittens with her. We were thrilled. She had enough comfort and respect for us to bring them to the backyard so that we could in turn feed them. And so, after a while, after feeding the kittens and the mother cat for some time, unfortunately, the kittens did not return. And so, we came to the conclusion that unfortunately they must have passed away due to a car, a coyote, or any other circumstance. And so, in trying to help the mother cat in this situation, we decided to take her to the vet and do what is called a trap and release. And so, with the trap and release situation, we would take her, she would get spayed, neutered, and we would return her back to the backyard where she was completely comfortable in her environment, especially since she was older and it would be hard to rehabilitate her into a home. And so we took her to the vet, and unfortunately, the vet came back with the results of her having feline HIV. And because of this, we could not return her back to the backyard. She would pass this on to other animals, onto other cats, and onto any future kittens that she may have. And so, unfortunately, they had to euthanize her. We were very saddened by this, but we thought that this was the best case scenario. Unfortunately, again, a couple days later, we found the kittens. So now not only were we trying to do a good deed by rescuing the mama kitten and releasing her, which didn't happen, but we unintentionally orphaned these three kittens. So tiny that they could fit in my hand, shaking and scared. And so we took on the responsibility, especially through a little bit of guilt of what happened, and we brought them to safety. We began caring for them, and what seemed like a simple act became a major responsibility. They needed food, they needed warmth, they needed shelter, and they needed medical care. And in Challenge, we are trying to find them a permanent home as well, since they were young enough where they could potentially go into a home or become a barn cat or be cared for. They didn't need to be released back into a traumatic environment. And so, over time, we began caring for them, loving them, and returning homes for them. And so, what was most surprising about this experience was that it changed me the most. Before then, I viewed helping others as something as important, but I hadn't fully understood how powerful or even how a small act of kindness could help me. And even though these kittens had no idea what was going on, they had no idea that we were doing things for the best intention of them, and they didn't know that they were being rescued. It still, in turn, made me a better individual because I learned that acts of kindness do not rely on what is being reciprocated to you, whether someone brings you flowers, whether someone brings you letters. It is how you return that humanity back to them. And so For those kittens that had probably no idea who I was or what I had done for them, their lives were completely changed for the better. And as I conclude, I'd like you to think back to a time that you had something completely dependent on you and you returned a piece of kindness with in exchange had no return. It was completely out of the kindness of your heart and your soul. I want you to reflect back on the story of these three helpless kittens, where even though we were trying to do something as good as trapping them and releasing them, unfortunately it didn't turn out that way, but in turn, even better, where they all got homes and they were all loved for and cared for. And the lesson here today is that helping others isn't about changing lives, it's about how it changes us as well. Because sometimes humanity grows through gestures that inconvenience us, but the decision in return is far greater. Thank you.